Prepare yourselves for Audio Smackdown. Because we are ready. Delzinski Smack Talks present We Talk.
Yo, alright guys, Delzinski here. Welcome to another We Talk. And as per usual, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Smack Talks. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. How's you?
I'm very good. We missed maybe a couple of weeks, mostly, actually all of my fault. So I apologise to the We Talkers, but we are back and there's been a ton of wrestling going on and so many things going on inside the wrestling business. I mean, it's like breaking news after breaking news, particularly one Roman Reigns being suspended.
Shocking. Did you see that coming?
I certainly didn't see that coming. I mean, it's quite embarrassing, to say the least.
Poor Vince. Vince is going to be heartbroken. How could Roman do that to him?
Particularly when Vince has put all his eggs in the Roman basket.
He really has. All his eggs have been smashed now. J-Man's been at work.
Yes, we are back. And obviously, you can subscribe via iTunes. We're on iTunes now. So if you're listening to us, then this episode is going to pop up in your subscription box. And you can listen to us on the go. If not, then you've got the regular means, which is the YouTube channel, my YouTube channel, which is Vintage Shizzle, and Smack Talks. You might as well plug your one as well, because we have got wrestling goodness galore on each of our YouTube channels. So how can they watch your content, Smack Talks?
You can check me out over on YouTube at youtube.com/SmackTalks, or you can hit up the website at smacktalks.org.
Yep, and don't forget as well to get involved in conversations by following us on Twitter as well. So it's at Smack Networks for Smack Talk. I don't know where the talk. And at Delzinski for me. So yeah, that's how you can listen to us, and we are back for We Talk. So first things first, because it all kind of stemmed around the pay-per-view at the weekend on Sunday, Money in the Bank. So how many Superman punches would you give Money in the Bank out of 10, Smack Talks?
None, because it's been suspended at the minute.
Oh, I see what you did there.
But if I was to give it to him, I would give it 6.
6? That's a lot of people quite happily praised this pay-per-view. I'll give it a 7.
7?
Be kind of generous, I think, maybe with that 7. 7's like my lucky number as well, so it is very generous actually, but there you go.
I was generous for 6, and that was only because we got a cash in.
So, yeah, well, the cash in is an interesting point. So, I was going to ask you, what was your favourite moment, or moments, if there was, because 6 is not great, I would say, it's average. What was your favourite moments from Money in the Bank?
Favourite moments from it? Roman losing the title and that epic spear into the pedigree, which just didn't look amazing, but I thought it was cool that they went for that.
Well, I see Roman losing the title was a shock, but particularly the way it was done. I think for me, I'm going to go with the actual promo that we had backstage with Jericho, Owens and Del Rio. I thought that was like one of the best bits.
That was pretty cool, now you mention it.
That promo was brilliant. And particularly the fact that I love the way that Kevin Owens is just so casual about it. It doesn't even feel like he's in a promo half the time. And Jericho with his stupid idiots is just getting better and better. And it even made Alberto Del Rio entertaining.
Oh, I don't see that.
Oh, well, actually, now I say that, I will say as well, did you not think he put in quite a good effort in the Money in the Bank match for someone who you kind of think has basically been quite out of touch since he come back? He hasn't really put on anything too spectacular. I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought he almost ran the show in that Money in the Bank. He had some really good spots.
He did. He did like fairly well, but I don't think there's anything he could possibly do that would make me think, whoa, Del Rio's like doing pretty well here. I was just, every time he got up the ladder and it looked like could possibly have a chance of getting that briefcase, it's like, no, I don't want to see that. Someone get him.
I think Del Rio, though, did you just not like the Del Rio gimmick? Because he's a good wrestler.
I just find it a really boring character and a really boring wrestler.
Well, yeah, I don't know, because I saw him on the Indies when he left, and when he was in the ring, he was a bit moody, let's be honest. I actually met him. I did meet him at like a FPW show, and he kind of complained about...
I can't believe you're bragging about meeting Del Rio.
Well, I don't know if it's really...
Only person in history.
Don't know if it's really worth bragging about, because he kind of wasn't too happy with like the management because he hadn't been paid and all sorts of things, and he was like sitting there miserable in his Real Madrid tracksuit. So you know, it wasn't the greatest of experience, because I've been backstage to like the same company and met like Christopher Daniels and Frank Kazarian, and that was really good. Like they were quite excited to meet people, but Del Rio, possibly sometimes, you know, but it wasn't so much with Alberto. But yeah, I saw him when he was on the Indies, when he left for a little while, and he was entertaining. He was good in the ring, and then it felt like he's come back and he's really not liked what he's doing. But can you really blame him with what he has been given? He got given that shoddy Mex America gimmick. He got given that the League of Nations, which was the League of Rubbish, or the League of Booty, whatever you want to call it. But I mean, he hasn't really been given anything to sink his teeth into, and like even the music's got stale, hasn't it? The old Del Rio music, and someone's nicked his car as well.
How they've still a car, haven't they?
So I don't know. I thought he put a good innings in the Money in the Bank match. I actually thought he was one of the standout performers in it, to be honest with you.
I don't know. I thought he'd done well, but if I was going to say if anyone kind of stood out to me, it was Cesaro. Not much for in terms of offense from Cesaro himself, but all the bumps that he took, I thought he really did put himself on the line, and I think he deserved a hell of a lot of credit for that.
Well, Cesaro was the one that I wanted to win it. I wanted him to win the Money in the Bank. There was that and I thought it was probably the perfect opportunity to do it, because everybody loves Cesaro, everyone's backing Cesaro, and yet the WWE just still cannot seem to want to put their faith in Cesaro. It's just, I thought that it was great, and I thought the briefcase would have really tied in with his gimmick, you know, with his suits and stuff. I thought it was a good opportunity, and it was an opportunity missed.
It would have worked quite well if they'd gone down that route. So
we're going to maybe talk about the breakdown of the matches, not all the matches, but the big matches, and obviously the Money in the Bank was one of the big matches. Was you happy with the outcome? Because I would say that this Money in the Bank has to be one of the most predictable Money in the Bank matches ever, and it's a shame that the Money in the Bank was treated in that fashion, because going into it, a lot of people, I'm not sure who did you actually want to win the Money in the Bank?
I wanted Owens to win it, but I kind of predicted it was going to be Ambrose because of the way they'd set things up.
Yeah, so you see, I mean, many of us would have wanted like an Owens. I wanted Cesaro. I think we wanted the guys that haven't quite been given that full shot at the big level yet. And you know, some people probably wanted Sami Zayn as well. They're definitely going to be people that wanted Ambrose, but the WWE almost made it so crystal clear that it was going to be Ambrose night. Even I think the Raw before, it was the indication of the Ambrose Asylum, where they said, you know, Dean Ambrose was saying, whoever wins, you know, it might just be me that, you know, takes down that briefcase and then cashes in on the night. He basically told you the booking for the evening. And then JBL even followed it up on the night. I think after Ambrose grabbed the briefcase, he actually said he might very well cash in tonight. So, I mean, it was almost like the WWE were telling us what was going to happen, and it made it so obviously clear. And I think that takes away one of the best bits about the Money in the Bank, is that it's like, it should be a shock. It should be exciting who's going to actually get the briefcase. And I don't know, unless you're a massive fan of Dean Ambrose, you just didn't get that on this Money in the Bank, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I think like Ambrose fans have been really happy with it, but at the same time, for everyone else, it was all, you know, a case of wanting someone else to win, but kind of residing with the fact you knew it was likely going to be Ambrose, and when that happened, it kind of just showed you how predictable it was going to be. And I think for me, the only reason I give it 6 was because we got that cash in, which is always cool to say cash in. We've seen 2 title changes for the main championship in the end, but I guess at the same time, it does take away from the fact that, you know, the next few pay-per-views, we're going to sit there watching the main event, it's going to end, and there's no possibility of a cash in or something happening to kind of change things up. Where I think I always liked the Money in the Bank briefcase being there as kind of another option, so you weren't too sure if the pay-per-view was actually over or if something was going to happen. So kind of using that straight away on the night, it's kind of got rid of that. I think the only time I've enjoyed that is when they've had 2 Money in the Bank matches, and because of that, you can afford to put one on the night, but also keep one for a later date.
Was it really necessary for them to have the cash in though? Like, I know it was exciting on the night, but do you think that could we not have just got away with Seth Rollins being victorious? Because let's be honest, a lot of people would have been happy with that finish as well.
Well, you could have, but I think at the same time, if you're going to do it for Ambrose, do it now and see how it works out, because it's been teased so many times. I'm glad they've actually gone through with it now, and they can see if it works. If it doesn't, then it's a case of, they can bring in these new stars, but at least they're trying it with all 3 Shield members to see if it does work. And then if it doesn't, they know it's a case of, let's move on, let's plan something different and go with something else for WrestleMania.
Yeah, and I guess the main thing, or the main selling point coming out of it, was like all 3 Shield members had held the championship in the same night, which was meant to be like a big deal.
Yeah,
I agree with you, to be honest. I think it takes away something that's always been exciting throughout like the months, that there is a superstar that has the opportunity to cash in at any time, any point, and could potentially become the champion at any moment. And I think that when it's like done so quickly and so soon, when you look back on it, you'll think, well, that was an epic moment at Money in the Bank when Dean Ambrose won the Money in the Bank and became champion. But then you look back and you think, well, now we're not going to have anything for like months on end unless they come up with something else,
Yeah.
So it kind of leaves me thinking, I don't know. Maybe I would have preferred someone else to win it and carry the briefcase for some time.
It would have been better. It just kind of, gives you something else to be invested in. Whereas now that's gone, and it's a case of, I can't see Ambrose having a short title reign. I think we're probably going to have him keep it now for a couple of months. And again, it just takes away from the fact that something could have happened. We could have got a different outcome, more exciting finish to a match.
I'm really surprised, to be honest with you, that Roman's dropped the belt so soon. Like, that could be because of something we're going to talk about a little bit later, with the fact that he's been suspended. But it is quite shocking, because I think I've said on numerous occasions that he was going to have a long title reign, and it's gone. It's gone, and who knows, with all the issues going on at the moment, he may not get it back for quite some time. Although he is booked for Battleground to be in the triple threat match, and that, again, I was reading my Twitter feed, and quite a lot of people very, very upset that this match is coming so soon. I think many people feel that this should be either a SummerSlam or even a WrestleMania main event, the triple threat between these guys, which would make sense because of the size of it, the Shield basically colliding all as one. Battleground may be a good name for it to happen. And wasn't Battleground where they had the big match with Evolution at one point? I think it was. I
can't remember what pay-per-view that actually took place on.
They had a couple, didn't they? I think one was Payback, one was Battleground. But I mean, if again, that could tie into the reason why they've chosen it to be there, because it has ties to the Shield. But I don't know. I'll agree with the people that have tweeted about it. I think it's a bit of a rush. I don't think it was necessary to go full in with the triple threat straight away.
I don't think it was. I think it was a case of, this is a big match, wait till SummerSlam. And especially with what they've known about Reigns, I don't see why you would book this match and not have him around to actually promote it.
Well, do you think they knew? How long do you think they've known this for?
Well, apparently they have known since prior to Money in the Bank that was going to come. So that seems to have been the reason that he's actually dropped it in the first place.
I mean, I was going to say this, but we might as well just talk about it now. Is it? It's very embarrassing, isn't it, for the WWE? This one, this is hugely embarrassing. Not just for the WWE, but for like you said at the start of the show, Vince McMahon, because he really has invested so much time into Roman Reigns at the expense of other superstars as well, at the expense of many people turning away from the product because they're sick and tired of a Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns, unfortunately, as well. Maybe not for the people that wanted him to lose the belt, but he's let everyone down. It's embarrassing that he's done that. I wonder how The Rock feels about this as well. We don't know all the ins and outs, obviously, of what he has failed. But it just doesn't look good on paper, does it, really?
Well, I think that's the only thing. Yeah, no one seems to know what it actually was. So it could have been a case of, everyone jumps straight on it and says, oh, it's roids, it's something like that, and that's the reason he's being suspended. It could be weed, it could be anything. There's so many things actually covered in the wellness policy. So I think it's hard to kind of talk about when all we know is Reigns has been suspended for 30 days. And I've seen loads of people that have jumped on it and put out news stories, news videos, all about Reigns. And it's like a 10-minute video talking about this. But really, we can't really say too much on it because we don't know anything about it.
No. But it is one of those things. This is the guy. This is the top guy in the company. And, the main headline is that he's suspended due to the failing the wellness policy. It just doesn't vote well for WWE considering where they've put Roman Reigns on that, that status. They put him on that pedestal. And it's a shock. I was so shocked about it. I thought someone was like trolling me, joking about it. Like, when someone spoofs you like a fake image of the WWE website and stuff. I was thinking, nah, that's not true. I thought I'd go check it out myself. I was like, damn, he actually has been suspended. So, the main thing is that it looks like he's going to take his 30 days. He's going to come back. And it looks like that is it at the moment. So I'm gathering it can't be as major as or a huge, massive issue. Otherwise, we probably see him off TV screens for a lot longer. But I don't know. To me, for Roman Reigns himself, regardless on whatever it is, he just must think, damn, what bad timing as well.
Well, it is. I think if it wasn't for this, would have had a very long run for Roman Reigns as champion. But I think this is the whole reason that he's actually dropped it, and he's dropped it clean.
Yeah, I think that's the main reason. I don't think this was. I think this is why it's all been rushed along quite a bit. They've had to do some damage control. They can't suspend their current champion. They can't take him off TV with the belt. I mean, that would be a much worse situation. So they had to get it off of him. I still probably would have just given it to Rollins and let Rollins run with it for a little bit and then do something maybe with Ambrose a little bit later on. But then again, I guess we're treading water again because we've already seen Rollins and Ambrose feud, which kind of, do you want to just see that again? No, so you have to add Roman to the mix. So it's, I don't know. Maybe he's going to come back stronger than ever, though.
Well, I'm just glad that, they've done this and they've brought in Ambrose, had him win the championship. Because I think if they'd just gone with Seth winning and they'd end it there, then I think it would have been quite annoying to have Seth as champion again when it's something that we've already seen. And we've complained about, the same things over and over and wanting someone different. So I think at least in Ambrose coming in and win the championship, it gives us something different so we can see what it's like. And then if it doesn't work, we're going to, clamour for Rollins again to become the champion.
Yeah. To touch on Battleground, as and when it happens, do you think that this is going to be do you think this could be like a drop-in of the title, back and forth thing between the three? Or do you just think Ambrose is just going to go through this?
I think Ambrose is probably going to retain it. I don't think he'll drop it. I think he'll probably keep it for a couple of months. I'd be really surprised if Reigns is actually in the match. I don't think we'll get him in there. I think they've probably planned to do that, but I think they'll probably get quite a bit of backlash saying that, even though he's been suspended, they're still putting him in that match and they've purposely done it that way.
Yeah, the worst thing for him is just the fact that they've used him for quite a lot of the publicising. They almost kind of made him like that John Cena that does all the public events and stuff like that. So that is it's really difficult for him to. I'm pretty confident he's going to come back and he'll be absolutely fine. And we don't know exactly what he's failed for anyway. But I just think it's totally embarrassing the amount of time. How long have we been invested in Roman Reigns for now? Over a year? Longer?
Long time. 2 years?
Yeah, and it all come to a head. We thought we got it, underway, and then boom, bombshell. But yeah, let's move on. Let's move away from Reigns because not many people like talking about him anyway. But let's talk about the other big match that was on the card, and it was AJ Styles versus John Cena. AJ Styles on his own versus John Cena. This match was really good, really enjoyable match. I thought to myself, do you know what? Actually, I'm going to ask you a question.
Go for it.
The build to this match was the match that everybody wanted to see. But my honest question to you is, did you always think, I really want to see AJ Styles versus John Cena?
Yeah, well, I thought this was a dream match. I thought this was, a huge thing going into it. That was kind of the feeling that I got, especially that first night when they were both in the ring together.
Really?
Did you not feel that?
Not really. I don't really see. I know John Cena puts on good matches with people, but I don't. It wouldn't have been a dream match for me. John Cena versus AJ Styles. John Cena doesn't have the style that makes me think it's a dream match with AJ. I know I get from the level, the superstar level, of course, but in the ring, dream match.
Not a fan then? No?
I thought the match was really good. I just thought the way that they talked about it, it was like, I just thought it was a bit overhyped for what it was. I thought AJ put on a great performance. I thought Cena put on a good performance. But when people were saying, "Oh, it's the dream match that everybody thought they'd never see, and now they're going to get to see it," and it was built a bit like that, and I just kind of thought, I've never really sat down and thought to myself, I really want to see AJ Styles versus John Cena. I just didn't think that.
I don't know. I don't get that. I thought like pretty much everyone was happy with this. It's like being a huge match and a huge deal, and kind of being WWE versus TNA in a way.
Yeah, but did you ever sit down and like think to yourself that was a match that you wanted to see?
Yeah.
Right. I
don't know.
Maybe
People should let me know on this. What was it? A dream match? Did you want to see it?
I mean, from an interest perspective, yeah, you want to see it. But if you actually sit back and take yourself out of the situation, did you sit there and think to yourself, like when you talk about matches that you really want to see, like for example, in New Japan, AJ and Nakamura is a bit like a dream match. People want to see that because of the styles, the hard-hitting styles. I don't think that Cena's style complements AJ's very much. It was a very good match, but I just sit there and think, as a wrestling match, I wouldn't want. I didn't think I wanted to see it. I don't know. Maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree.
I don't get it. I think it all depends on which superstars you're interested in seeing.
Yeah,
so
I guess
it's always
that's
going to be different. I mean, you could say AJ Styles and Nakamura. I would say that'd be a good match I'd want to see, but I don't necessarily say it is a big dream match.
I know. It's just like a good example of it would be Rock versus John Cena.
I wouldn't want to see that again.
Yeah, but build as one of the biggest matches, or the biggest match ever, or whatever they made it out to be. And when we saw it, it was a big letdown. And I'm not saying that AJ Styles and John Cena was a letdown, because I thought it was a really good match. It was just something where I've never really sat there and thought, I tell you what, I really fancy seeing AJ Styles versus John Cena. So there you go. But nevertheless, I thought it was a good match. I think Cena. I always criticise Cena for his lack of moves, but he's always stepping up to the plate every time. So I'm giving him full credit. He did it again. I thought it was just a shame that we had that dodgy finish. I kind of felt that they could have just, they could have given AJ the win, couldn't they? But we all know what happens after that when someone gets a win over John.
What do you mean? AJ did win?
Well, no, clean. You didn't need a club interference for it. The match was so good, it deserved a clean finish either or. I would have rather maybe even seen. Well, I don't know if I'd rather seen that. I just rather would have seen a clean finish between one of them.
I don't know. I think the way it's been built, storyline wise, I think that made sense to have someone come in and do that, and it gives them that reason to kind of play it out the way they have. With John Cena saying, we'll never know how this match would have turned out if the interference wasn't there. That there's only ever going to be one first meeting, and AJ Styles has that win.
But it just sets up for John Cena to go up against AJ Styles again, and he will beat him clean.
It does, but I'll go on record and say in total, best of 3 series, I think AJ's got this one.
So you don't think it'll be like the Owen scenario?
The second match will. Cena will win that, but I think the third match at SummerSlam, I think AJ Styles will go over.
I hope so. I do hope so. I'm not so optimistic on that, though, to be honest with you.
You're not very optimistic at all lately.
I don't. It's not a negative. It's just when you look at that, I thought that they could have just given AJ a clean win for that match. It's that, if you're going to bill it as this sort of dream match, then have the clean finish. Then I think many people will.
It's still a dream match. The finish is kind of irrelevant. You've got that big match to it.
No,
it depends how it plays out.
I think
over the course of it.
I think many people would agree that match deserved a clean finish. Ask the We Talkers. Well, let them in the comment section. If you're listening via YouTube, let us know via the comment section below. If you're listening via iTunes, then leave us a review, and you can also give us a 5-star rating, a 5-star Frog Splash rating. So get involved. Do you agree with Smack Talks that the finish was alright, or do you agree with me that would have been better with a clean finish?
Would have been much better the way it was.
Not so sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it might. Well. You say it makes sense.
Go on, say it. It makes sense.
You say it makes sense, but so the next night on Raw, the whole I'm sorry thing was great, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Okay, so it wasn't great, but like I said, it made sense, and it gives you the reason for that second match.
Well, I'm glad that AJ's in a.
If not, the other option would have been AJ wins clean, as you say.
Yeah.
And then Cena comes out and says, "I want a rematch." And like we've seen with Kevin Owens, why would you give him the rematch? You wouldn't. So they would have just ended it there.
But that would have been fantastic. Don't give him it. He can continue to chase him down. Don't give him it.
Yeah, but you can go dream matches, or you can just be dreaming. They were never going to give him one match, have him go over, and not give Cena a rematch.
I don't really get why they can't have like the one match and then maybe in a year's time or something pick it up once more and have like the second match later on. I don't always like the fact that it has to be like one straight after the other.
Well,
just, it'd be nice sometimes to come back to it. Like, oh, you remember when AJ got beat Cena, and then it's kind of you reflect and you think, oh yeah, but that was like a year ago, so maybe the tables have turned. You can kind of put a better spin on it. Then it's just like, oh, I owe you one, so you give it back to me now, and then we do the final one.
But they probably could do that though, because if you've got Battleground coming up next, you can have that second match, have Cena win it, and then the draft could see them drafted in separate shows. And then they can always pick up a third match, say at WrestleMania.
John Cena, AJ Styles at WrestleMania. What do you guys think? You gotta let us know. Would you want to see that?
AJ Styles to win. It's a dream match, yes, at WrestleMania.
Okay, so yeah, I thought it was a good match. I thought on the card, I'd probably say it was the most entertaining match of the evening. The Money in the Bank was always entertaining, but yeah, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. So, yeah, that's why... Actually, do you know what? We have to talk about this. We have to talk about the issues of the show, yeah? And again, I know that you're going to disagree with me because you seem to be in that sort of mood where you want to disagree with me on everything. So, we might as well go through it, yeah?
No, I don't.
Yeah, all right. There's something you're going to disagree on straight away. So, these were issues that I kind of felt, or these were kind of things... The pre-show was a bit naff. Was it not?
In what way? The Dudley's match was a throwaway, so that was a bit naff.
Just didn't really... Well, I thought... Well, I'm going to say it because I know you're going to disagree on it, but I thought the BreezeDango for Breeze...
I loved it.
Whatever the hell it was goddamn awful, and I never want to see anything like that again. And if Tyler Breeze is going to go down this route, then he might as well ask for his release.
You're not a fan of Fabrice?
No, I don't see why any wrestler would want to do that gimmick.
What? Was it not entertaining?
Not really.
You didn't enjoy it?
I think the majority of my feed was "What is this arse?" basically. When I was tweeting about this match, and I think that I got many people agreeing with me that if this is the best that WWE can give Tyler Breeze, then there's something seriously wrong.
Did you honestly not find it entertaining in the slightest?
I found it entertaining in a way that I thought it is an absolute joke that they would do this. I mean, people complain about the Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy stuff. Come on. This was like awful.
This was funny. This was entertaining. This is sports entertainment. It's the entertainment side.
Really?
Yeah. It could have just been, a match where it was a throwaway match. There wasn't anything to it. But the whole segment before it, locking them in the tan booth, having them come out red raw and take those moves in the way that they did, it added to it. It made it memorable as opposed to just another tag team match. How can you not like it?
Look, you might be a fan of being red raw, yeah? But me not so much, yeah? This was not entertaining for me. I would much rather have seen two decent matches. I would have rather have seen a good pre-show
On a
match.
pre-show?
Yeah.
It's never going to happen.
I'd rather watch a decent pre-show matches and be happy with some good wrestling. I don't need to see stupid Febreze or whatever we call it. It's just awful. I mean, both guys can do better. Fandango's beaten Chris Jericho, for crying out loud.
Yeah?
And look what we've got him doing now.
What's wrong with it? It was fun. It was entertainment. Just, chill out, relax, enjoy it.
I am hoping that the We Talkers this week cannot agree with this absolute diabolical positivity being shown towards this rubbish gimmick.
It was good. It was fun.
Yes. Okay.
Where's your sense of humour, Delzinski?
I have a sense of humour, but I just don't have it when it comes to...
Someone's locked it in the tan booth, haven't they?
I don't have it when they have such just a joke. What is the point of Tyler Breeze these days? This was a guy that was really good. This is a guy that wrestled Jushin Thunder Liger on NXT, and he's gone from that to this.
Yeah, but he's making people laugh. He's entertaining the fans.
Who's he making laugh?
That's his job. I was sitting there laughing my head off.
At how awful it was?
No, it's how entertaining it was.
I'd rather watch Matt Hardy.
Really? Why?
That's entertaining. Because that was awful. Anyway. The Dudleys versus the Lucha Dragons was forgettable. It wasn't much. I mean, what's happened to them? What's going on with the Dudleys these days? What is there anything left for them to do? Do you reckon they're going to get split up? I mean, I think Bubba's crying out to want to be split up. I don't really want to see him split up because he's a bit of an egomaniac, but I think he wants that to happen. I don't know if Vince will ever give him it, but I think he kind of would like a singles run.
I don't think they will, because I think if once you do, then if Bubba works, then Devon's kind of throwaway, the same as we got last time. We're not going to go back to Reverend Devon.
You could get Batista in. Well, do you remember when Batista was with Devon? Remember that?
Yeah.
That was
was it Devon that brought him through?
It was. Yeah. I can't remember what it was called. Someone will tell us. But yeah, I was wondering, do you reckon there's room for a Velvet Sky in there or not? Because she's free agent.
Well, they could always bring Velvet in as that sort of Stacy Keibler role alongside the Dudleys.
Surely Bubba's championing that. Surely he's trying to get her there. You would think.
He should do, to kind of get in at the Dudleys, just to make a sort of impact in...
Impact. Nice joke.
Oh, there's your sense of humour. Congratulations, you found it. So if they brought in, had her with the Dudleys, it kind of brings her in, puts her in an angle, it elevates the Dudleys, and it then gives her that sort of, position to move into the women's division later on as well.
Oh, yeah, I don't think she's the greatest wrestler, but I think she definitely adds something to the roster. You could have her on Total Divas as well, so I think she'd be quite a good acquisition, to be honest with you. But yeah, the Dudleys just seem like they've got lost. I mean, I thought when they turned heel that was quite a good move for them, but it clearly hasn't worked out too well. And I think the focus is a lot more on the younger tag teams now. Enzo and Big Cass obviously thriving. Speaking of that, I mean, we're saying that this was a throwaway, but the tag team match was very bizarre because Aiden English, I believe, wasn't actually legal in the end. I think that's what I come to the conclusion of with many other people on Twitter. He wasn't legal.
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Well, basically, I think after numerous replays and rewatches, Carl Anderson is legal and Kofi Kingston is legal. I think that's right. but Aiden English wasn't legal. But it did show how devastating the Magic Killer is, because, I mean, Aiden English was out for about half an hour. A lot of people blaming Luke Gallows for that finish as well, which, because he hesitated to try and help his partner. But I think Luke Gallows is waiting for something else to happen, and something else doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden we've got this mess where we don't know who's tagged in and who's tagged out. So, really strange. I thought that maybe they might try and revisit that at some point. Like, he wasn't the legal man. They could have gone down that route, but I don't think they have. Maybe a bit of a botch, covering that not legal man. It's not good.
Killed the magic for you.
Yeah, it did. What do you think of... see, this was something else that I thought many people didn't really understand. Natalya turning heel out of nowhere. I think it's quite good for her, because I've always thought that she hasn't really had much else apart from being classed as a really good wrestler. So maybe this gives her a new branch.
I thought it was good. I like the fact that they're actually doing this with Natalya. The only issue is Natalya is someone that, the whole way she acts, the way she is, the way she smiles constantly, she's a really, she's really that person that you wouldn't see working as a heel. And when you do see her suddenly go as a heel, it's like, hang on, does that really make sense? Would Natalya do that to someone? Like, she's the one person that I think if she did turn heel, she'd then apologize for it, buy whoever it was some flowers, try and make up for that action, just sort of live with regret. But I don't know, it's interesting at the same time because it's not really something that we've seen from her before. So it's something different, and I'm all for that.
Do you not think that they could have had a little bit longer with the Natalya Charlotte feud a little bit? I was quite enjoying her being the main challenge for Charlotte. I liked that she was sort of top of the pile, so to speak, because I felt like she deserved that for quite a long time. I wouldn't have even minded her getting the belt for a little bit.
Well, I did like it, but I think the time went. If they were going to do anything with Natalya, they had to give her the title at least the second match that they had. And because Charlotte beat her twice, she should really have dropped out of the picture then. But the tag team thing just kind of, prolonged it a little bit longer. And my issue with Money in the Bank was the Women's Championship wasn't on the line. So by doing the tag team match, you kind of took that belt off the pay-per-view. And the longer you stick with the tag team stuff, the longer the belt's not going to be defended. And that was my main issue with the Bellas and Nikki Bella having the championship, not defending it because of all these tag team matches. So I'm kind of glad that they haven't gone down that same route and continuing this sort of tag team. So now we're getting Charlotte and Paige, and the focus is back on, the belt being defended.
You got to feel a bit sorry for Becky, to be honest. No one really likes Becky. She can't hold a friend to save her life.
She really can't. She must be a really annoying friend for everyone to turn on like that.
I know. I mean, it doesn't make her look very good. Do you know what I'd really like to happen? I'd really like Becky to at some point get that women's championship, because does it not feel like to you that I don't think, because she's always quite prominent on TV, so it's not like she's not getting TV time, but it feels like a lot of the storylines always end with her being ditched or dropped or put down, and I'm thinking what would be really nice is at some point that she captures the gold and all of this comes to a point where she actually does win the title. I'd kind of like that. Do you know what I'd like to see, actually? I'd like to see a women's Money in the Bank match.
Well, that was a big surprise that they didn't actually go with that this year. I think going forward, that's something they really should be considering, and it's something that really should have happened. But for whatever reason, they don't seem to want to go ahead with that.
To me, that would be awesome. I don't know whether it's an injury aspect thing, do you think? Maybe? Could be something.
Not really, when you've got all the male superstars in there. It's the same kind of risk.
Well, you've got plenty of divas.
It's not like they're going to be sitting, in creative's office thinking, can't put women in the match. They're all, fragile. Women shouldn't be playing with ladders. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, you never know. That could be the Vince logic, You never quite know with Vince McMahon what he's thinking, to be honest, a lot of the time. Could be sitting there. Triple H could be saying, "Look, have you watched NXT? Have you seen what they can do?" And Vince is going, "No." I don't know. I thought that it would be really good to see at some point a women's Money in the Bank. I think it'd be cool for one of them to have the case to cash in and the opportunity. I think it'd be good for someone like a Becky. But Yeah, I want to see Becky at some point capture that title. To be honest, I feel that she's had after this, she's kind of had too many times where she's been like chopped down. So at some point, I'm hoping that she gets somewhere. So I'll be going into a Charlotte Paige feud now because I'll be honest with you, not that interested in that. To be honest,
it looks as though they are, and to be honest, it's been like quite a while since we actually got Paige in there. So I think going forward, I don't really mind that too much. We do have Sasha kind of coming into it, and we could maybe see some tag team stuff again. But I wouldn't mind Paige in the picture for the championship.
Yeah, I think I'd just rather maybe have seen a bit more of the Becky Charlotte feud than have Paige around. I think Paige has lost the magic. There's some magic in this episode. Woohoo! But I don't know. There's not a lot of connection that makes me look forward to Paige coming back.
Well, I think my only issue is Becky's been in and around there for like quite a while still. She had the match at WrestleMania as well, whereas Paige hasn't. So I like the fact that they're still kind of keeping things a little bit fresh.
It's good. I mean, it's good for the division, the women's division, that you've got so much talent that you can take people out and drop people in. I think that they've got to definitely prolong things for the Sasha stuff, because I think the Sasha, if you keep the belt on Charlotte for quite a significant time, you could really have the Charlotte-Sasha thing explode and really build that for a good, solid WrestleMania match as well, or maybe even SummerSlam. But I just think, yeah, I think that's maybe why they keep chopping and changing, because they don't want to drop that Sasha match just yet. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Paige gets on anyway. Yeah, I think that they were kind of my kind of concerns about it, really. I think quite a lot of people on social media were saying that they were kind of confused why Natty had turned heel. So I thought that maybe that was one which was a bit strange. I thought the pre-show, like I said, was a bit naff, and I really didn't like the Febreze, although you did.
It was awesome.
But I don't. Yeah, I thought that they were like the sort of the flat elements of the Money in the Bank, although we had good matches. So that's why it weren't going to get any higher than a 7.
I'm happy with the 6 I give it.
Good. So, I mean, coming out of that, we've had quite a few things going on. Quite a few talking points. Like we've just talked about Roman Reigns and his suspension. Jerry Lawler and he's been suspended, or just they haven't really confirmed it.
Lawler's been suspended indefinitely.
So he's basically gone, isn't he? Because of what he basically similar to Adam Rose, but maybe
It all depends on sort of what happens with this, because I think initially I thought that would be the case, but then reading what happened for this, I think depending on what the truth is,
with the gun,
it might not have been sort of Lawler's fault.
It all sounds a bit crazy to me.
It does. It doesn't sound great. I think, to be honest, WWE might use this as an excuse to take Lawler off TV.
Yeah, I had that conversation with someone the other day. I was like, it felt like to me that it's like they've been waiting for something like this so they could finally move Lawler on. And it's a bit of a shame to say that with someone like Jerry Lawler, because he's been around for such a long time. But then again, I'm like looking around and I'm thinking you've got like a Corey Graves there who's like quite primed to really, who could be good on SmackDown. I think him and Ranello could be good. What do you think?
Well, I think those two are the team that I would kind of go with. Like brand split coming in, I would love to see Taz back.
Really?
Yeah. Taz was awesome on SmackDown.
Yeah, but this isn't the Taz of old that we have now. We have the TNA Taz, and I think that's the Taz that you would get if you get him on SmackDown.
Look at anyone that went to TNA. They never give everything. It was like, I'm in TNA now. I can just, sail away with it. Not have to do much. Yeah, but look at Josh Matthews. Like, ever since he went to TNA, he just looks like, he's got no desire whatsoever. He's dead inside.
Yeah, but the commentary style of Taz has changed an awful lot, and I don't think you just get that back by just re-signing. It's just how you change over time.
I think it depends. I think it depends on the product itself. I would love to see Corey Graves in there, but we're kind of bound to get a third person, and I think Taz would be someone that would mix it up and give you something a little bit different. Well, and of course, when the other option is Baron Saxton.
Well, there is talk of someone who I didn't know was still signed with them, but David Otunga.
Yeah, don't want to say that.
But did you? I think we've talked about this before, but he's still signed with them.
Yeah. Apparently he's doing commentary on Main Event.
How and why is the question.
I think that's one of them ones where we'll never know.
Yeah. I don't really understand why we have to have a 3-man commentary team. I'd much rather have Ranello, calling the moves in the craziness that he does, because sometimes he says moves and I think, is that what it's called? I don't know, but it sounds awesome, so I'm going to go with it. And then you have Corey Graves, who kind of brings you back down to earth with a bit of a thud with his, his quite sharp tongue. So I don't really see the need for a third person WWE. Do you?
I think it's perfectly fine with 2. I think sometimes 3 is too much, and it kind of kills it. It's much better to get something going when you've got 2 people that kind of connect with each other. Having 3, it kind of makes things a little bit awkward because you've got people jumping in when 2 people are absolutely fine.
3's a crowd.
This,
and we do this show just fine. Imagine if we had a third person.
Who would add? Who'd be the third person?
Who? What are we talking? WWE commentary team? Who we'd have here?
Anyone?
Michael Cole.
Michael Cole? Really?
Coal
third
miner.
person?
Coal miner, isn't it? We all know how excellent he is.
Coming up, bring back Weeds. There's no love for Weeds.
He can come back. I'm not sure where he is now. I'm not sure where he is, which dungeon he's in, who's he belong to, who's owning him at the moment. Could someone let us know? Please send us a postcard, Weeds.
Let us know. We'll miss you.
It would be good if he comes back for an episode. That would be cool.
There you go, third man confirmed.
Yeah. So that just defies the point of me saying that it's a good 2-man commentary team. I mean, so obviously we had the controversy with Jerry Lawler. I've heard that Adam Rose is now. I think he's got. Let me just check this for a sec. See if I can quickly get this up, because I saw on his social media the other day that he's kind of back. And he's taking indie bookings, but I couldn't quite remember. Rose, let me go for this. Rose, here we go.
I'm sure he is doing something because he released a mugshot T-shirt.
Yeah, got it. Hold on.
You got it up.
Aldo Rose is what he's going by the name of now, taking bookings.
Aldo,
ALDO, and then, but actually the Twitter tag is. I don't know how you pronounce this. How do you pronounce this, Matt Talks? AEG.
I can't quite see it.
AEGIS. Aegis?
AG. Spell it out.
AGE.
I'm going to spell it out for us. IG.
I've got it wrong now. I'm even spelling it wrong. It's AEGIS.
AEGIS.
Yeah, Aegis.
Aegis, yeah.
Yeah, Aegis Rose. So his Twitter handle is that Aegis Rose, and then it's Aldo Rose, which is like the name. So I don't know what he's going for, but yeah, that's his new stuff now. And I can see from like he's got in hashtag Rose Nuts. That sounds really dodgy. That sounds wrong.
I'll get Google to pronounce this for you. Here we go.
Go on then.
Aegis.
Can we have that again?
Go for it.
Aegis.
I like that. Can you get him to say anything?
Kind of words. It's kind of limited.
Can he say
Aegis?
Can he say Delzinski?
I don't think it recognises Delzinski, unfortunately.
Really? That's
doesn't.
What about Smack Talks?
Is this just turned into let's make funny words, make the computer say it?
You brought this to my attention, so or does it take you that long to pick
unfortunately.
Heads or tails? What about Smack and then Talks?
You want Smack and then Talks?
Yeah.
Let's go for it.
Do I need to...
Smack Talks.
Oh, it's a woman!
It is?
What's a woman?
Because it changed.
What about We Talk?
Hang on, should I get Brian? Shall Brian do it?
Smack Talks.
There you go, that's really posh, that is.
Is that his real name? Well, how do you know him? Why is he called Brian?
It's Brian, man. Everyone knows Brian.
Well, who's the woman called then?
The woman was Amy.
What?
No, actually it was Sally. Sorry, I got confused.
Who's Amy?
Who is Amy?
We talk.
Oh,
This is better than our intro.
it is. It's so much better.
I actually think that you should just do the whole show using that. So if I ask you any questions, you ask Amy, Brian, or whoever you've got down there to answer for me.
What, you want us to do the whole show like that?
Yes. Well, so
I'm-
I'll ask you a question and you respond. Ready?
I'm not sure about that.
Let me ask you a question.
Go for it.
What did you think of BreezeDango? What did you think of that?
Amazing.
There you go. Brian agrees. What does Sally think?
Amazing.
Amazing as well. There you go. The results are in.
This has to be a regular spot on We Talk, surely.
I think we cannot drop this now. It has to be a regular thing, doesn't it?
We said three's a crowd. We got a bloody whole party here now.
I have so many people. Just bring them all in.
The rose nuts. Can you just ask it one last one, just to end it? Rose nuts.
Rose nuts.
Rose nuts.
Who's going to say this, though? Who do you want?
Ooh. Go with Sally. It sounds more kinky.
Let's go with Sally.
Rose nuts.
Ooh.
This is the best thing that you've ever discovered, Smack Talks.
It's definitely up there.
Right. Let's move on.
We can do the intro with this next time.
We should try it. It would take quite a while because you'd have to do a lot of typing, surely. But
It would be worth it.
all you can just hear is this.
Yeah, no, I'm going to spend the whole time just doing that now.
Oh dear. So let's move on. Let's talk about a couple more things before we sign out this week. I was going to say to you, I know you haven't seen it, but talk TNA. AJ Styles, you've seen the podcast. I haven't really had too much of a chance, but he did talk a little bit about TNA, which was amazing with Stone Cold.
He did. I didn't find it too surprising, to be honest. I was kind of, under the assumption that they would talk about TNA, and they didn't go into like huge detail or bash TNA anyway. It was just a case of asking AJ, how things compared being in TNA, in Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE. And of course, AJ says everything in WWE, it's the most professional place that he's worked. Whereas like a lot of the other places, some of them don't even have catering and things like that. Whereas you come to WWE and it's just this huge monster where everything is absolutely like amazingly done and all done for you.
Yeah, I think it was good that they got to ask him about. I don't know whether that was Austin driven, because it is technically Austin's podcast at the end of the day still, because he still hosts it on his Stone Cold podcast. It's not just the WWE Network. It's like a special for him. So I'm glad that they asked him a little bit about TNA, because like we say, it's always this forgotten thing. It's like it doesn't exist, and it was a huge part of AJ's career. So I'm kind of glad. I am a little bit surprised. I thought they might actually say to him, don't mention that. We've all seen that happen in the past. But WWE opening up a little bit more to these sort of things. I mean, with the whole Bullet Club stuff, it's kind of opened the door a little bit. So I'm glad, because I feel like, I know that it's not like the biggest championship, but he did have world championship reigns there at a time when it was good there. So you kind of should acknowledge it.
You should, and I think it was right of them to do that. I think if they'd skipped over it, then everyone would have just, questioned why. Why did you kind of skip all of that? And I think the way they done it, it was pretty well done. And like I say, it wasn't kind of bashing towards TNA. They did bring up the question of how things changed when Panda Energy bought it. And you had Jeff Jarrett, someone that was, entwined in the business, moving out of the picture. And someone like Dixie Carter coming in that was kind of new to it. And AJ did say, well, I think it was actually Austin that said this, but to him watching it, it was a case of Dixie was given the title to all these people that were coming in that she was watching elsewhere and thinking these are big names, as opposed to looking at the talent that they actually had. And I think that kind of makes sense. You had people like AJ Styles getting pushed to the back of the queue when you had your Hogans, your Flairs, your Hardys, everyone else kind of coming in and kind of taking that spotlight.
Yeah, well, I always thought that like he was always meant to be like Mr. TNA, but they never really really, until the end when he was on his way out, they never really said, made it clear that he was by holding the championship for long periods of time. He always seemed to get close, but never really picked it up. Or when he did, he lost it quite quickly. And then at the end, it felt like they were giving him everything he wanted because they were worried he was leaving, and then he left. So yeah, I completely agree with that. I think they went with the Stings. They had the Hogan takeover. And what's interesting about all of this, and I know you haven't listened to these podcasts, but Russo's been he's got his podcast on Podcast One, much like Austin and Jericho now. If you can handle it, it's good. Depending on what he's talking about, because Russo is, he's a bit like Marmite. You either like it, or you either love it, or you hate it. And he can be quite hard to handle at times. But, I mean, when he's talking about subjects that he's, when he's having a debate with someone, what I like about listening to Russo is he doesn't really hold back. He'll kind of argue, not so much argue, but he'll have a proper debate with that person, particularly if it's something where he feels he was hard done by. And he's been talking recently with Magnus from, or Nick Aldis, as that's his name, but he's been talking to former TNA World Heavyweight Champion in Magnus. He talked to Billy Corgan as well about TNA and the way it's produced now. And I've just found these really fascinating to listen to. So if anybody gets an opportunity, make sure you go and check these out, because it's really interesting to find out, because we talk about AJ Styles and how he left on like a sour note, and it's interesting to work out exactly how things have fallen from grace. And Eric Bischoff's name is raised quite a lot with Russo, and it's just great to listen to if you want to know the workings and the cogs behind the scenes of TNA, from how Russo was there first with Jarrett, then Jarrett got pushed aside, then Bischoff came in and Hogan. They, from what Russo says, sucked all the money out of the company and pretty much insulted a lot of the talent there. Someone like a Magnus felt that he could never talk to an Eric Bischoff, and Bischoff put him on the back burner. Only when Magnus actually confronted an Eric Bischoff was when Bischoff started to push him. So you have to argue with Eric Bischoff to get a push. This is the way it was put over. And then Bischoff gets pushed aside by John Gaburick. Bischoff had a good relationship with Spike. When Bischoff moved away, then Spike said, "No more. Let's get out of this." And this is what's brought TNA to today, where Billy Corgan's involved, and Billy Corgan has just become a minority shareholder or stakeholder in TNA Impact Wrestling. Russo was asking him, does that mean that gives you some sort of like power? What does that give you? And it's very interesting, because it's like Corgan saying that he's the guy that made changes to make the Decay, which everyone seems to think is really good. I mean, they've made Abyss popular again, which that is impossible from my point of view. But I mean, it sounds like the things that he wants to do, which I was very surprised, where his ideas have really come across well. But there is one stumbling block, and it is Dixie Carter. Because Russo is adamant that as long as Dixie Carter owns TNA Impact Wrestling, it doesn't matter who she has, like a Billy Corgan, trying to help her, until they have full creative control, this company will never get any further. And I'll be honest with you, because of the way it's structured, and from what Magnus has said about John Gaburick being, Dixie Carter's right-hand person, I kind of agree. I think that someone will have to buy her out to make a massive change and a massive impact. It's fascinating. And one thing that Billy Corgan said is if he had the opportunity, if he was allowed, he would hit the reset button. And we talked about this before we came on here. And he says it's a reset which is like completely different from anything that you've ever seen before. So I'm guessing the name would go, things would go. They haven't got the money to do too much else, but I find that interesting that he would want to do that. Would that bring back someone to watch the show? That's a question to ask you.
I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to see if someone else was fully in charge and they had that power to make all those changes. It'd be interesting to see how it played out. But if it's someone that's half in control while Dixie's still there, I don't think anything's really ever going to change. And they've already done this like so many times. They've rebranded. is Impact Wrestling, and they've kind of gone back to TNA while still Impact. They've got pay-per-views like Slammiversary, which is still all branded as Impact. You've got them coming out saying, we're going to a new network, we're going to reboot things, everything's going to start afresh. And they seem to do it so many times. To me, it's just, you kind of keep doing it. It's a case of you have to fully change things and then stick with it. You can't just try it for a few months, see things haven't really picked up, and then go again.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's something that's been hard work for me to get around, because when they Destination America, then when they had that little go, and it was a really good debut episode. I remember it. I thought it was really good, and then it kind of was like, oh, there's issues there. It wasn't quite working, and then they did it again on Pop, and it was like, oh, you've tried to redo it again, and it just. But I think as long as Dixie's there and they keep doing these reboots, it's hard to really get back into. Slammiversary, I don't think you've watched it, Smack Talks, have you, to be honest?
I haven't seen it yet.
But it was a decent show. It was a decent show. Like you say, the big issue is the production value. It's just not there. I mean, pay for I know that there's a short of money, but just paying for the apron to say Slammiversary wouldn't go amiss. Just to make it feel like a proper pay-per-view instead of Impact Wrestling logos everywhere. They don't know if they're TNA. They don't know if they're Impact Wrestling. It's so confusing. So I think maybe a proper reboot, and whether that means changing the name as well. Because they've got good talent there. There's no question of a doubt. There is some good wrestlers there. I'd say EC3 is maybe a superstar. Your Galloway is a big talent there. So they've got the stars. And the storylines they're building are interesting. And even the Matt Hardy thing, as much as we laugh about it, it drew attention to TNA. So they are doing things that are right. But like you say, it's something. There needs to be a boom that will make people come back to this company, because otherwise people think, oh, you're just going to let me down again. And I think the only way maybe to do that is for someone to buy out Dixie Carter and give it a go. And maybe Billy Corgan's that guy. And it's weird because when I talked about Billy Corgan previously, I was like, he ain't going to have a chance of doing much. And I don't know what he knows about wrestling. And I listened to this podcast and he seems quite tapped into everything. He seems to know his stuff. So I think he could do something cool, but he needs to be given the opportunity to do that. And I don't know. Dixie Carter just doesn't seem to make the right decisions.
Well, I think that's the issue. It's Dixie that doesn't have that wrestling background, so the decisions she makes aren't best placed. She's relying on other people, and Billy Corgan coming in. To be honest, I don't know too much about him, but to me, it's someone else that's coming in from outside the wrestling business. So I don't think they could ever really do things as well as someone like a Jeff Jarrett that has kind of grown up in the business and spent so long and knows exactly what to do.
What I thought was interesting, what he did say, was he said that, and like I say, you either love him or you hate him, but Corgan said if he was still there, he would have, with him being there, he would have liked Russo to still be there. That's weird in itself. I mean, this guy, and it was interesting. The reason why it was really a really good listen is because Corgan says that he can speak freely about TNA, so he can say what he likes. And that's what I thought was good. It wasn't like one of those cagey debates where someone doesn't want to say anything disrespectful about their company. He was having like a solid argument back with Russo, and Russo would come weighing in like a bull in a china shop about how he was mistreated and how much he didn't get on with Eric Bischoff. And then Corgan would take a moment, take it all in, and then respond. And you'd sit there and I think to myself, that's actually a really good point what you're saying at the moment. So definitely go and have a listen to it. It opens your eyes a lot more to the ins and outs of TNA, and it kind of gets in perspective of where they are as a company. They're not in a great position, but they're not in a goddamn awful position, but they could do with someone helping them out, and I think Billy Corgan is the best opportunity that they've got at the moment. Particularly now because Magnus has absolutely slated them on this on this podcast. So yeah, good listens, guys.
It'll be interesting to see what they do then, if he does become a majority shareholder in sort of the years to come.
Well, if he does become a majority shareholder, I wouldn't be surprised if someone like a Russo does get tied back in again, because it sounds like he would surround himself with people that he trusts with the wrestling industry, and I think that someone like that would be a Russo that he thinks could help that product. Whether or not that is what Russo could do these days, I do not know.
Well, Russo's already, invested in Tony Pizza Guy's company, so I think he's already got his plate full.
I think Russo likes a finger in a lot of pies.
He does. He enjoys a good pie.
He does. He does. So yeah, have a listen to it because it's all good. Not really sure about some of the other stuff on Russo's podcast, but those were two good listens. And Magnus,
I'll have to check it out and see what it's like.
Magnus comes across. When I went to the Scott Steiner show, he was very good. He was there as well, and again, Magnus just comes out as like very honest. And he talks a lot about the issues with TNA, and he's not bitter about it, but you can clearly see, because I always thought when Magnus became world champion there that he was a big deal and it was going to be a really bright future for him, and then they kind of cast him aside, and you get to understand the workings of what really went down there, and it ain't very nice, to be honest with you. So, yeah, good listens.
I have to check it.
One final thing before we close off We Talk this week. Brock Lesnar to fight in UFC. We know this is kind of old news now, but we didn't.
What? This is quite old. When did you pick up on this?
I know. I'm shocked. The reason why I mention it is because of the whole suspension with Roman Reigns and his opponent in UFC. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's been indicating that Lesnar is jacked up to the eyeballs and he must take a thorough drugs test. Really? Think Brock's that way? I don't think so.
I don't know, but he come out and said, quite a few things. I think part of it's just getting in the head of Lesnar, because this is Lesnar kind of returning to it, and I guess mind games are going to be a big part of UFC.
Can I just say that everybody praised this deal that the WWE have sort of struck. This is a fantastic deal for the UFC to get Brock Lesnar back, but this could be a catastrophic mistake by the WWE if Lesnar loses. That is the one thing that WWE must be praying for, because we don't know how good Lesnar is in the octagon anymore. Yeah, this is a long time. If Lesnar was to lose this is the beast. Yeah, unless I hope he doesn't. But if he did, what did WWE do from there? Marketing wise, it would just destroy a lot of things, because you're gonna have him come back as the beast, but the Beast got dropped at UFC when he came back, the Almighty Beast, the Conqueror. It's a risk. I don't know if they really think it's a risk, but I think it's a risk. I don't know how good this guy is, though. Yeah, this guy. I thought he's going to fight some nobody, but I don't think this guy is, because I'm not tuned into UFC too much, so I wouldn't know. But I don't think he's a nobody.
I don't recognise his name, but I don't think it's a case of him being a no one. I think it's going to be someone that is a decent opponent for Lesnar.
So yeah, it just concerns me. Like we if Lesnar's not 100% or not in that, I think physically he's much better than he was when he first come to WWE. But is he built in the shape for UFC now? I don't know.
I don't know. I think it could be a mistake on Lesnar's part as well.
I think it's the fighter in him that wants this, but if I was him, well, obviously, if I was him, I would just take the easy money. I'd just wrestle for WWE. It's a lot less risk associated to it. At his age, with his stomach problems, because he's had that I can't remember what it's called now, but he's had all those issues with his stomach, and I'm like thinking, well, that if I'm a UFC fighter going up against Brock Lesnar, that's where I'm going at.
Yeah,
and if he
can't everyone knows his weakness because of that, so it's something anyone can kind of target.
So, I don't know. I think it's a bizarre decision for Lesnar to do it, and I think it's even more bizarre that WWE have okayed it. But maybe it's just to get one up on CM Punk.
Well, I think it's just a case of them doing that to get someone back in return.
Yeah. I would say I'd go with Conor McGregor.
I think because they've already sort of teased it, I think it's going to be Ronda Rousey come WrestleMania.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm so excited about that anymore. It's been a while, isn't it, since we?
Well, I would be more excited for that than I would Conor McGregor, who's someone that I've got no interest in seeing wrestle. At least the Ronda Rousey stuff, she's already been there, she's done it, she's invested in WWE as a fan. So I could kind of accept that more than someone like Conor McGregor that was just coming in as kind of payday.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't really. I thought it was quite cool at WrestleMania when they did it, but I think because it's got so detached from it now, I don't know if I'd be that excited. And plus, she took a loss. I don't know if I'd be as excited as anymore. I think the deal that Lesnar's doing is a much bigger deal than what WWE get out of it in the long run, really.
Well, it is, because it's not a case of...
He's back, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's not a case of anyone being back to WWE either, though, because Lesnar's been there, so it's a big draw, him going back. Someone new from UFC coming to UFC, it's like, well, the fan base isn't connected to this person in any way, shape or form. Whereas Lesnar has so many UFC fans, it's completely different. It's not the same.
I tell you what, I'd just rather Kurt Angle come back. Scrap all this.
Could go for that.
Yeah, let's just do that instead. But yeah, I mean, interesting stuff. It's all interesting. Is this a big concern and issue for the WWE if Brock Lesnar goes to UFC and loses? What would happen to the Beast then? Because he would certainly not be the conqueror anymore if that was to happen. So, that kind of draws us to the end of this week's We Talk. And you got to get involved in all the topics. And like I said, if you're listening via iTunes, we would be so grateful, wouldn't we, Smack Talks?
So grateful.
Can you ask the computer?
Can I ask... What can I ask the computer?
So grateful.
What, you want the computer to say so grateful?
Yes.
It takes time.
We would be so grateful.
Yes.
If you could subscribe.
Exactly. Subscribe to the podcast via iTunes and leave us a cheeky 5-star, because the more of those 5 stars we get, obviously, the more the podcast gets out there and brings in more people to listen to the We Talk that you guys love. So, don't forget, obviously, you can catch us on iTunes. You can catch us on YouTube. We've got our YouTube channels. Follow us on Twitter, Delzinski and Smack Networks. And yeah, I know, I got it straight away. I was bound to say Smack Talks then and cock it all up, but yeah. But it would be great if you guys could do that. And this will always end up in your iTunes subscription box for your listening pleasure. So that brings us to an end. Get involved in all the talking points that we've had. We've talked about Money in the Bank. We've talked about AJ Styles and John Cena. We've talked about Ambrose and his cash-in. We've talked about Roman Reigns being suspended, Jerry Lawler, Adam Rose, or whatever he's called these days, BreezeDango that Smack Talks is in love with, and plenty of other stuff, other goodness that you can all get involved in. So I guess all that's left to be said is please rate, comment, and subscribe if you can. And this... Oh, hold on. Any other cheap plugs this week?
Well, I thought you would never ask. I thought you were just going to skip straight over it.
I nearly did, but I saved the day. I saved it.
Well, if you want to check out the Smack Talks channel, then we've got lots of updated attires from this week's Money in the Bank, so you can get those for WWE 2K16. And we're still looking ahead to the future to 2K17, so we're going to be looking into some more concepts this week. So make sure to check that out.
Excellent. Yes, from my side, we've got a few concepts maybe coming out over probably next week. Saturday Night Main Event stuff going on. I want to thank everybody who's watched the Royal Rumble. It's got quite a lot of praise. I was really happy with that. Yeah, it's done really well. So yeah, thank you very much, peeps, for watching that content. And if you haven't seen it already, then make sure you check it out on my YouTube channel. All the details are in description boxes, etc., etc. Yeah, it's busy. So
sounds good. And if you're not so busy yourself, then you can come check out on Regeneration X tomorrow night the Throwback Thursday stream. It's going to be doing SmackDown versus Raw 2008 this week.
Jesus, 2008. Is that the one with ECW?
It is indeed.
Good guess.
SmackDown versus Raw featuring ECW.
Are you going to be Tommy Dreamer? Crybaby Tommy Dreamer? Looks like he's always going to cry. Always going to cry.
I will. I'll have my PlayStation camera on and I'll start crying as I play as Dreamer just to get, that Tommy Dreamer ECW feel and just the emotion, that raw emotion. It's as raw as BreezeDango.
I think maybe one other quick final plug. If you haven't checked it out as well, you want to go and check out Brodos's channel and the J-Man's channel as well, because we did a little video that we worked on for Money in the Bank. It's kind of it really has no talking of Money in the Bank. It's just us having a good old laugh. So yeah, you want to check those out. Go and check out their channels because they were pretty fun, weren't they? Those videos that we made.
It was an awesome time. I can't wait to just kind of get back in action, do some more, 6-person matches, tag team matches, ladder matches, tables matches, cage matches. Ambrose Asylum, I'll even go for that.
Oh dear. Yeah. Make sure you check them out. Hit those like buttons on those videos, and give those guys some support as well.
Brick Club for life.
Brick Club, yeah, Brick Club for life. The T-shirt needs to come. Anyway, I think that's everything. We've plugged till the sun goes down now.
We have indeed. We've been plugged.
We have indeed. So I think. I hope all this time that you've been getting that computer ready to say goodbye as well.
Oh, you know what? I haven't, unfortunately.
You.
Am I not good enough for you anymore?
You. Anyway, it is time for us to sign out. I hope you've enjoyed this week's We Talk. We are back. Apologies for being a little bit away for some time. This is Delzinski signing out. And Smack Talks, are you going to catch us later?
Catch you later, Rose Nuts. Hashtag Brit Club for life.
That was awesome.